Hello everyone, so this is going to be my sort of introduction into my channel. I've always considered YouTube as like a big passion project of mine. I've been wanting to do something with YouTube ever since I was like a freshman in high school. Now I'm about to graduate college now, so it's been a while. So now that with this whole quarantine and that school's over, I'm gonna have a lot more time on my hands, and I want to kind of do something that's more fulfilling. Do something that I would really want to do, and kind of practice working on like skills like editing and stuff like that, and filming. So this is all very basic. We'll see where this goes in the future, but for now I wanted to start off by showing off my album collection that I have here. These are not all of my albums. I do have other albums, but I'm saving that for a separate video because that's another like separate collection I want to show off. But these are most of the albums I have. I'm going to be showing off the collection in the order that I got the albums to kind of explain how I got them. And along with that, I did get one of my really good friends to ask me some, I wouldn't say hard-hitting, but they were some really good questions for me to answer to kind of like get everyone to know me with specifically like with my preferences in K-pop. So I'm going to, just introduce myself and my album collection. And yeah, so let's get started off with the first album. Alright, so this is my first album. It is GFriend's 6th mini album, Time for the Moon Night. Now, this is the first album I ever got. I got this in 2018, like right after the comeback. I went to a convention around the summertime after my first year of college with some friends. We went to this convention called MegaCon in Orlando. This is the CD plate. And there was a K-pop store that's local in Orlando that was selling different albums, and this happened to be one of their newer ones. So I decided I like the song. I've never had an album before. Why not get it? So I purchased it for apparently too much money because after looking online, I saw that they were selling it for much cheaper. But it was my first album. You live and you learn. So two of the things they give out are like these little emblems of the GFriend logo, and as you can tell, I guess something wet got in contact with the ribbon because it marked the page, but that's okay. Specifically this era, I really like it a lot. This was like peak anime song for GFriend because that's what most of their discography is, in my opinion. But I felt like Time for the Moon Night is specifically like the most anime intro sounding song they have. So the first question I have is, who is your alt group? Now, I would say I have several groups that I like actively listen to like their B-sides and their title tracks, and like I'm like obsessed with them. I would say my first old group would have to be EXID because they are the first group that I listened to in K-pop. I would also say like GFriend. Earlier I used to be like listening to their B-sides and stuff like that and having a really good time. But I don't do it as much now as I did before. Additionally, I would say for sure Red Velvet. You probably saw earlier I have a lot of albums from them. But Red Velvet I do stan. I think they're possibly at this point my alt group, because since EXID is not that active and Red Velvet is, it's a lot easier to stay like in touch with, or not in touch, but like like keep up with them. So the two photo cards I have for this album are Sowon and Eunha. They both have signatures on them. I know it's not that close, but I don't want to like mess up the setup I have right now and like just break everything, so we're just gonna keep it like this for now. If I properly learn how to edit, I'll zoom it in for you guys so you guys can see it properly. I think the outfits in this era are really nice. They look really pretty. So yeah, I would say I haven't taken a proper listen to all the songs, so I can't remember which one is my favorite, except for Time for the Moon Night, because I actively listen to that song because it pops up on my Spotify the most. But I feel like this era overall was really good and really suited them. I think it's one of their best. So that was it for the first album. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so this is the second album I have. It is the Perfect Red Velvet, which is the repackage of the Perfect Velvet. This is my favorite album of Red Velvet's of all time. Kind of disappointed it's a jewel case, but you know, SM worked up and eventually gave the girlies what they deserved, so we're proud of that. This album specifically, similarly to the last one, it was also from Orlando, but I didn't buy it. I had a friend who went to a concert in Orlando, and that weekend she went to the K-pop store that was actually selling the album, the GFriend album I bought in the booth at the convention. So she actually went to the store and asked if I wanted to buy. There was an album she wanted me to buy, and I told her if they had the Bad Boy album, down, like get it for me quick. So they had it, and she bought it for me, and I paid her back, and this is how I have the album now. So yeah, let's get into opening it. But anyway, this is my favorite album. I love it so much. I mean, this CD plate, come on. I mean, beauty and grace. Like, I love this era so much that my home screen on my phone is one of the album covers, or not album covers, but one of like the teaser photos for Bad Boy. And then I have a photo on the back of my phone that is also from the Bad Boy era, if you need any more proof. But this is the lyric book. Again, I think it really fits the aesthetic. Like, I love the way the pictures look and like the way that these photos were edited and designed. Like, one class I had to take this past semester for like one of the last classes was digital design. So I'm just like looking at my work and then looking at this and be like, you know, it's like what you order online and then my work is what you get. So, you know, but then again, it was like my first time doing digital design, and I was like really interested in it, like using Photoshop and stuff like that. So I'm trying to take advantage of like having the software to use it to like edit my videos and stuff like that, because I don't want to have to pay extra for a cancellation fee, because that's what everyone in my class is dealing with right now. So again, just beautiful, amazing. Like, you could just like take a look while I just flip through these pages. The photo card I got was Irene, who I would say is my bias, and it's also signed here. But like, I'm never really sure who my bias is in Red Velvet, which is why I say like she might be, pretty much. She's the one I look to the most. So, all right. The next question I have: how did you get into K-pop? So, as I said before, my first real like group that I listened to was EXID, and I got into K-pop around my senior year of high school. So this was like around like mid to late 2016. I didn't count like Gangnam Style as a song because like everybody and their mother listened to it. It has billions of views, like nobody could avoid it. But I would say like me willingly listening to K-pop was in 2016, and it was actually Hot Pink by EXID. And then I eventually got into like Lie, which was their more recent comeback during that time. But yeah, I just remember watching Hot Pink and I was like in love with these women. They were beautiful, they were talented, they were what I needed the most at the time. Cause, you know, when it came to like more recent like music at the time that I was listening to, is very like radio and pop and stuff, but I was also into anime, so I was listening to some anime songs, and because I had recently gotten into anime, I felt like it was a lot easier for me to get into K-pop. Yeah, and it's also like this album gives me American Horror Story vibes because of like the way that they have like these weird like cartoon photos along with these like beauty shots. It's like, it just gives me that vibe. And yeah, so I listened to EXID and got instantly attached, and then right after I started listening to Red Velvet, so Russian Roulette, and then I got into Twice. I was so into them that I actually was buying songs on iTunes, so that was like my pre-buying albums, because I didn't really know that buying albums was a thing. And a friend from high school was the one who introduced me to EXID in high school, and she was also at that time watching Produce 101 as it was airing, so she was telling me about how the show was like and stuff, and she also introduced me to like different artists like Suzy and GOT7 I also was listening to at that time, and now I'm just full on deep, like I was able to start standing my own groups, you know, and like now it came to the point where like I was updating my friend on like comebacks that she didn't even know, so we got in real deep. And I also appreciate the fact that I got into K-pop, because that's how I made pretty much all of my friends from college. So, you know, I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, so this was the album. Really like it a lot. I would say my favorite songs on this album, including the ones from the regular album, would have to be obviously Bad Boy, Kingdom Come is right there. I also like About Love, and one more I would say Alright. And I went to their concert last year, and I swear to you, I was the only person who started screaming and cheering when they started singing Alright. So I think I'm the biggest Alright stan in my city. So that was it for this album. Let's move on to album number 3. So for the third album, we have CLC's 8th mini album, No One, or Number One, whichever you prefer to call it, but it's a double meaning. So this album specifically, I got it as a birthday gift. So a couple of months after I got the Red Velvet album, when it came time for my birthday, I was sitting at the place where I worked, which was on my university campus, and I was sitting with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while just to celebrate. And then some of my other friends came by and they saw me, and they were just like, here you go, like just out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then I looked and it was the album, and I was completely shook. These are all, CLC is also one of my favorite groups of all time in K-pop. So just like realizing I got this like album when I wanted to buy it and I couldn't get it at the time, I was just completely shocked, and I was like almost to the point of crying in public like 15 minutes before my work shift started. So I was a mess. And yeah, so I was just obsessed. This album is everything. I love it so much. I would say my favorite song in this album is probably No, for sure. And then I also really like Show. And yeah, I think those are like my top 2 songs. I love this picture. The styling here in this era was also chef's kiss. And let me open this off frame so I can, you know, see it. It came with instead of a lyric book, the lyrics are on a poster on the back side, and the member I have is Sword. So to continue on with the rest of the album, so again, as I'm flipping through, let me get to the next question. So the next question I have is, do you still stan the group that got you into K-pop? yes, I still stand EXID. I love listening to their songs still to this day. I think one of my favorites is their Japanese release, Trouble. I absolutely love that song. It is so good. Ever since it came out, like I was patiently waiting to see a music video, and then I was able to find it on Spotify, and I was like streaming that on a loop. So yeah, and I still stand Red Velvet. I got into them at around the same time as EXID, so yeah, I still stand them. Next question: who are your alt biases? So I have several alt biases. Well, not several. I would say probably like 3. So for female idols, I would say my alt biases are Yeon from TLC and LE from EXID. I usually have a thing for like the rappers and groups, but for male idols, I would say I have also 3 biases, and those would be Kim Dong-hun, who was in JBJ and is now a solo artist or soloist, and from Ace, I would say and Donghoon tied together, because at first I stand like my bias was Donghoon, but then I was watching more videos and wow just made me go wow, you know. So I would say they're both tied for my bias in Ace. So let's continue flipping through the book. So this was like the Burberry outfit part of the book, and these are like the other outfit, like the first page. Let's flip through these quickly. I loved Yujin's bangs, and I mean, come on, look at Sungyeon. I remember watching the Producer vlog where she described how like she did this part of the photo shoot. It was funny to see the other members like looking at her while doing it. I mean, look at Yeon with the red pumps, you know? We love that for them. I think 2019 was an absolutely great year for CLC, so just having this album started off was what we needed. Pause a little bit. Yep, and that's pretty much the pages. And again, I was super shocked when I saw that Yeon was the photo card. Let me push it like this, and this is the CD plate. It is Elki, Hyujin, Sorn, and Seunggi. I'm guessing the other CD plate has Eunbin, Sungyeon, and Yeon. So that was it for this album. Now let's move on to album number 4. Alright, so for album number 4, we have the We Are Superhuman album from NCT 127. And I wasn't a huge NCT fan in general when kind of like around this album when it came out, but with my friend for my birthday last year, which was the same time I got the CLC album, my friend who got me into K-pop, she bought me a ticket for the concert because I was at work and couldn't get one. So she bought it for me as a birthday present as well. Ever so grateful for that, thank you. And when I went to the concert, I was jamming out the entire time. It was a really good concert. I was super high up in the stadium where it was at, but I had an absolutely amazing time. I was jamming out, I was screaming, we were having a great ass time. And the main reason why I bought this album though was because there was a special code that was going around on Twitter where you could buy this album for $4, like $3.75. And I was like, how could I pass up on this offer, you know? I went to the concert, it was a good time, and getting an album for $4, sign me the F up. So the 2 cards I have are the circle card is Yuta, and the photo card is Doyoung. And it is also signed on the back. I never really like took a deep listen into this album because like when I had bought it, I was like, you know, I already listened to it in the concert, you know, and I didn't have like Spotify like premium yet, so I couldn't like listen to many of the songs. Like in an easy way, you know, without ads and stuff. Because I usually listen to music rather than like going on YouTube and looking up lyric videos. I do it like when I study and stuff and do homework. So it was kind of hard for me to try to like go on YouTube and then like look up the songs and stuff and like listen to the ads and have to control it all the time. So I tried to find different ways to listen to music on like a loop. And then I got Spotify Premium after, so. And then after that I forgot to add the album. So I would say I like Superhuman a lot. If you want to know my bias, it used to be Haechan fully because one of my friends who got me the CLC album, he would show me Haechan videos and I'm like, this is iconic. But then Tail came around and I was like, all right, okay. And then when the recent comeback came out, I said, okay, Tail, all right, okay, Do Young. So I would say those are my top 3 in NCT 127. So let's look through the book, which is also attached to the album. I would say, by the way, side note, can we talk about how this jacket, when I first saw it, I didn't see a woman's face and I thought that this jacket was like raw meat. So I thought Haechan was like, you know, coming for Lady Gaga's gig, but no, it's a woman's face. So I got kind of shocked when I realized that. Jaehyun's pink hair, chef's kiss, you know? Oh, I moved it, but Highway to Heaven, I listened to a little bit of the song when they showed the music video during the concert. I thought it was really good, but my favorite thing about Highway to Heaven was when they did the Genius video and tried so hard not to say that the song was about sex, but I mean, girl, we know. So just them laughing while trying not to say like it's about sex. It was great. Jungwoo, the bowl cut mushroom epitome hair. He was the representative of my city when they did the tour, so he had like a little sash and he had his own moment, so it was really cute. Let's continue on. So the next question I have is, what are your top 5 albums? I would say my top 5 albums, if I can say them, I would say number 1, The Perfect Red Velvet, for sure. And then I would say the Reva Festival finale was really good. And then I would say number 3 would be, I think it's called DAM703. It's Kim Donghan's most recent album. All of those songs in that album I listen to and it gets me going. Delicious. And then I would say number 4 would be, even though I haven't listened to every single song, I really like, I think it's Eclipse from EXID, the album with Night Rather Than Day, because I get Ellie's solo Velvet, delicious. And then we get Boy, a great B-side, and then Night Rather Than Day was such like a fun, funky song. It was my first comeback with EXID, so I was like staying up super late at night. Like I think it was like at 4 in the morning when the music video came out, and I stayed up because it was like around spring break, so I was like able to stay up late. Oh, damn, delicious. It's sidetracked, but you know, in case you didn't know about that. Utah, oh my god, also during the concert, Utah, he slayed it. He really slayed that. And then I would say number 5. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say my number 5 album would be the Neozone album. I haven't listened to every single song, but I have at least 4 or 5 songs that I listened to in that album that are absolutely amazing. I mean, Elevator is such a good song, but I think my favorite song in that album, which we'll get to later, is Daydream. Oh my god, that is a beautiful song. So yeah, as we finish with this album, Here we go. It is like a little ripped since the album like photo book was like connected to the album, but you know, that's fine. Alright, so this is the end of part 1 of my collection. I realized while filming this that it was probably gonna run off really long, and rather than trying to like make a video that was probably gonna be like an hour long, I'd rather just split it into 2 so that way it'll be easier for people to watch, and if they want to focus on a specific album or a specific you know, thing that I was talking about, they could just like watch that part of the video and that's it. So yeah, so part 1 will feature these albums, and the rest of my collection will be continued on in the part 2 of that video. So thank you guys for watching part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. There will be more coming your way, so be sure to watch out. Alright, bye guys.